once in Los Angeles by a beautiful BMW. And it's a dangerous thing to get rear-ended on the 210 at any time, but then you got to pull over to the side and get out and exchange information. And I couldn't help noticing that when I was taking down the license plate for the BMW, that there was a bumper sticker that said, "Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal." And on the whole, I like that bumper sticker, but I do wish the fellow who had been enjoying his life had not been enjoying his life to the peril and perhaps ending of my own. It's kind of hard to run into somebody doing 70 miles an hour on the 210. You really got to be ramping it up. And I think maybe Amos is questioning that bumper sticker today. Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. If you read the prophet Amos, and he's a good read, he's a fun read. He minces no words. He says, "Oh, you who lay on ivory beds, drinking bowls of wine, and gnashing on lamb, and listening to classical harp music. Woe to you who are enjoying life, because you know it is not a dress rehearsal." And then we hear a warning from Paul to Timothy about those who love money too much. And in our gospel, Jesus tells the story of a fellow who dressed in purple. Purple is a difficult color to make. Purple was rare. That's why it became the color of royalty and eventually of bishops, because it was difficult to make. Karen is in purple today. Oh, this sermon is meant for you, Karen.
I'll go down to the price of this dress.
He lived sumptuously. He ate sumptuously every day. He dressed in purple. And there is a fellow who is lying outside his gates, as the fellow inside the house celebrates his existence, as he revels in life, as he understands that this is not a dress rehearsal. The dogs from under his table lick the wounds of the beggar at the gates. Now, St. Luke has been hammering us for weeks about issues of money. I'm getting a little tired of figuring out new ways to talk to you about the dangers and joys of money, both of which are true. And so we heard some weeks ago from Luke about a man who built extravagant barns to store all his great holdings, and his life was required of him that very night. And we then heard the story of somebody who threw elaborate parties for family and friends, but did not invite those who perhaps could have stood an invitation, those who were solitary, the poor, the widow, those who were alone. He calls the Pharisees lovers of money, and it is not meant as a compliment. And then last week we heard of the dishonest manager. Luke is pounding a theme here, so that by the time in a couple of weeks that we get to chapter 18 of the Gospel of Luke, his disciples have heard so much about money that they say, "How then can the rich be saved?" Because wealth was at that time thought to be a sign of God's favor. How then, say his confused disciples, can the rich be saved if you keep pounding home this message of yours? Well, it isn't just Ray, George, and Karen who are dressed in purple today. All of us are figuratively wearing purple. If you have never lived in a war zone, if you have never known the pangs of serious hunger, then you are ahead of 500 million people on this planet. And if you have solid walls around you when you stretch yourself out at night, you have a bed to lay upon, if you have more than one set of clothes, if you have food in your refrigerator or someplace where you can access that food, then you are richer than 75% of the people on this planet. And if you have a bank account, preferably in Canada or the US, if you have money in your wallet or a few pesos laying around on the dresser, then you are in the upper 8% of the world's population. All of us are figuratively dressed in purple. Now, I have a confession to make. Steve will hold me to account. But I consider myself not only a Christian, but also a capitalist. Socialism does not convince me. I think that capitalism has done more to ameliorate and overcome the degradations inflicted by poverty in this world than any other system of government, which is not to say it's a perfect system. It has its excesses. We're witnessing some of those with the divide in the United States and elsewhere between the wealthy and the poor. But I believe that capitalism on the whole has been a very good turn of events in the way that we manage economies. I was influenced early on in my life by a book called The Spirit of Democratic Capitalism by a guy named Michael Novak. It's still a worthy read. And it was Frederick Douglass, after the emancipation of the slaves, who said, "The want of money is the root of all evil for colored people who are shut out of lucrative employment, who are kept ignorant by their poverty, and because of their ignorance are kept degraded." Frederick Douglass knew people need a source of income, a base of wealth with which to build decent lives and to begin to prosper and share what they have with others. So as we read Luke banging away about the dangers of money, I think he is banging away about the dangers of taking one's identity from one's money. Do you remember the other week we heard that you cannot serve God and mammon? And the root of that word mammon, which is an Aramaic word, is that in which one places one's trust. If you place your trust in your possessions, in your money, then you have misplaced your confidence. If you use your possessions and your money as good stewards and to benefit those around you, then you stand a good chance of being on the right side of the parables of Jesus. We just don't enjoy life to the exclusion of those things which are most important. So, do you possess your wealth as good stewards, or does your wealth possess you? Now, one of the interesting things about Jesus' parable today, at least I think it's interesting, is that in all the parables of Jesus, in all the four Gospels, none of his characters is ever given a personal name, except in this parable. In this parable, the man with nothing, destitute, covered in sores, hoping for something that's going to fall from a wealthy man's table, he is dignified with a name. He is called Lazarus. Now, over the course of Christian tradition, we have come to call the rich man Dives, but that name does not exist in the New Testament. The only character in any of the parables of Jesus to be dignified with a name is the character that we meet in this poor man outside the rich man's gates. I think that the rich man was probably not wicked. Jesus doesn't say that he was a pernicious individual. Jesus doesn't say that he intended bad toward his neighbors. He is simply enjoying his life. He is numb to his neighbor. He is consumed because he knows this is not a dress rehearsal. And he's getting on with the business of ivory beds and harps and a little nosh of lamb and a cup of wine. And so Paul says to St. Timothy, fight the good fight of faith. And part of fighting the good fight of faith is fighting the good fight not to take your identity from your possessions or from your wealth. Part of the good fight is not to become blind to your neighbor, not to become blind to those all around us who have too little. We cannot do everything, but we may, all of us, do something. And no further sign will be given to you. You have been given Moses and the prophets, and Jesus has returned from the dead. All that has been said to you has already been explicated. And so the warning today is against enjoying life to the exclusion of what matters, developing a hard heart that can no longer see the needs of our neighbors.